Welcome to Resting Tism Face, a pop culture podcast where your host Todd Kinsella gives you what's geek this week. And while you're here, let's talk about being neurospacey, whether that be ADHD, autistic, or both. Which, spoiler alert, I am.
All right. Yes. Okay. Hey, look at that. Here's a new thing here on today's podcast episode is this Tism face thing you see on screen. If you're watching the video, you know what I'm talking about. Um, I basically decided, you know what? I saw an advertisement for an overlay or like a thing that I can use with OBS, which is the streaming software and recording software, for doing this. And it basically what it does is it reacts to my voice, and I think it's supposed to react to my face, but it doesn't seem to be doing that. I played with it for a little bit, but basically what it does is it reacts to my voice, and I set it up so that the face has more than one expression. So when I'm talking, it actually looks like it looks like it's talking, and the logo is what I'm talking about. The Tism face logo, the blank look on the logo. I have that as this little what they call a VTuber avatar. I think I'm guessing. So whenever I'm talking, it's kind of bouncing, and the mouth moves and it blinks on occasion, which means I literally had to set up like 4 or 5 different images. Let's see if I can get this to pull up on my screen. So yes, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 separate, like slightly different images of the face, and then while I'm talking, it will utilize all those images to animate the face, which is kind of cool. I dig it. It allows me to be on camera without being on camera, I guess. I may also play around with it with other images. I may have to take a series of photos of myself so I can have my look like a character out of a Monty Python or a South Park episode where my head is kind of flapping around. I'll see if I can get that to work. um, so I found some stories. Actually, I found a story, and I think what I'm going to do is as I go, I'm going to be looking for the next story on my Feedly list. Uh, du- 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 du. Uh, oh, that sucks. Okay. Um, so let's talk about this first story here. Let me get the screen popped up. Here we go. So 49 years later, no Star Wars movie has ever broken A New Hope's biggest record and never will. You know, I am I'm I've said this on many different podcasts, but I'm going to say it again. I will never call that movie A New Hope, because for me, when I saw it when I was a kid, it was still just Star Wars. It didn't get the New Hope moniker until much later in life. And you know what? It's fine if you like it and you use it. I will not. So I will just call it Star Wars because that's what it was called back in 1977. It says here, it's difficult to imagine now, but there was a time when the original Star Wars wasn't a guaranteed box office draw. As George Lucas shopped his space opera around Hollywood, studios weren't entirely sure what to make of the film. Doubtful the project would be worth the investment. Like many studio executives, 20th Century Fox's Alan Ladd Jr. didn't fully understand the movie Lucas wanted to make, but he believed in Lucas's talent as a filmmaker, so he rolled the dice on Star Wars, and it was a gamble that paid off in spades. Star Wars became a pop culture phenomenon, shattering box office records and spawning an iconic franchise that's still going on today, nearly 5 decades later. Yeah, that's that's the thing. A lot of people don't realize that next year is going to be the 50th anniversary of the movie, the original movie. So, it says here the record set by Star Wars that will never be broken. It says according to information collected by Finance Buzz, adjusted for inflation, Star Wars has grossed over 2 billion with a B at the box office against a production budget of roughly 80 million. That's a whopping 1.920 billion in profit, or 2,400% of the budget. That is by far the most for any Star Wars movie that's been released. The next closest is The Empire Strikes Back, which had a profit margin of 1,008 of the budget. To see how Star Wars compares to the other movies, check out the table below. It does not include data from The Mandalorian and Grogu, but seeing that as that film has made 340.5 million as of this writing against a budget of 165 million, it wouldn't come anywhere close to Star Wars's mark. All right, so here's the list. Uh, and it goes Star Wars, Empire, Jedi. Those are like the top three right here. So, and then underneath that would be prequels in order of their release. So, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith being 308% for the Phantom Menace, 170% for Attack of the Clones, and 255% for Revenge of the Sith. The profit margin is considerably less for the last 4 movies. What is really funny to me is they put Rise of Skywalker at the very bottom, even though Solo was minus 22%. People really, really, really don't like the Rise of Skywalker, and I don't understand it because I fucking love that movie. And I think it has something to do with the story is about family, and that really hit home for me. And I love the movie. I will always love that movie. So, come on, stay open. There we go. Let's see here. They say the records are meant to be broken, but it's virtually impossible to see a realistic scenario where this Star Wars mark fails. Notably, Finance Buzz's box office figures are only for the domestic box office. Yes, adjusted for 2026 money, Star Wars earned over 2 billion just in the United States. No movie is ever going to come anywhere close to that. Uh, Adjusted for inflation, the highest grossing movie of all time is coincidentally The Force Awakens, which brought 936.6 million domestically. No other film in history has ever made 900 million in the States, not even Avengers Endgame. With how much movie-going habits have changed and the low likelihood of ever having such a widely anticipated movie event on the level of The Force Awakens again, the odds of something earning more than 936.6 million domestically are essentially non-existent. You know, I it's sad that people think that it's not possible that Star Wars is the only one that did it. And I mean, maybe they're right. Who knows? I don't know because I don't know. I don't understand all this stuff. I'm just reading it off the screen. All right. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and pull up the next story. I hate that. my screen, like if I click on the bar at the bottom for the browser I want to open, and then it immediately does like the preview thing, which causes it to click back to the thing I was already on. I think I should turn the preview shit off. That might stop that from happening. All right, so the next story I have here is the Big Bang Theory star comments about the time on the show uh, about time on the show make a revival even less likely. In quotes, I was miserable. Uh, I'm gonna guess it's probably uh, Jim Parsons that said that. Let's take a look and see what it says here. It looks like any hope of a revival of the Big Bang Theory featuring the full cast are officially dashed, as one actor has officially tapped out, saying that they wouldn't do that again for any amount of money. And it's news that some fans are taking pretty hard. I mean, yeah, the idea of a revival is kind of a cool idea, I think, but I don't see it happening. Um, Everybody on the show is too famous now. um, with some going as far as to call the actor ungrateful, saying their reasons for refusing to return aren't entirely valid. Even the fame and money the run on the 12 season long show brought them. Yeah, it was Jim. Jim Parsons, who played Sheldon Cooper in The Big Bang Theory, has said in no uncertain terms that he would never return to the role, claiming that it was stressful and miserable at times. Speaking with the All Out with John Dean, the actor elaborated, saying, "I made myself miserable. It's long been known that the actor struggled with the role, finding that he became utterly consumed by it. And between The Big Bang Theory and lending his voice to young Sheldon, it's been a role that he's dedicated nearly 17 years of his life to. And while some fans think leaving Sheldon in the past is the right choice, others are being pretty hard on Parsons for saying his piece." I get it. I mean, every other actor who has gotten famous for one character has had to spend some time away from the character before they were able to come back. Leonard Nimoy is one. I know that he wrote a book, I Am Not Spock, or something to that effect. And there was a time where Mark Hamill was like, that was a movie I did 30 something years ago. Why do people keep bringing it up? And this was during a time where there wasn't a lot of Star Wars on screen, and there wasn't any Star Wars as far as like toys were concerned. A lot of that stuff disappeared for nearly 2 decades. It was like 19 years before they made the prequels from the last movie, Return of the Jedi. So I mean, I don't know. I am pretty sure I've seen other actors who have been like, yeah, I don't want to do that again. I did that for X number of years, and I need a break, man. I get it. I understand Jim's point of view on this. You know, he said in an interview I saw, Jim was like, I'm not that smart. I don't understand any of the things that Sheldon says. I don't get it. I don't understand. I think he said this at Hall H on, I don't know, about 5, 6 years ago when they had the Big Bang Theory at, uh, excuse me, at International Comic Con. I have to drink something real quick. tickle in the back of my throat. So, yeah, I get it. I get that he doesn't want to do that again. I think if the owners of The Big Bang Theory wanted to, they could do another series, a revival, with the people who are willing to go back to playing those characters. Or at the very least, we could see them make cameos on Stuart Saves the Universe, or whatever the new show is called. And actually, I think that show comes out in the next week. I think it comes out at the end of the month, so that's next week. This is what it says here. It says, while fans on X took to tearing Parsons apart for his refusal to come back, with one saying Jim Parsons is just selfish, other actors wanted more seasons of The Big Bang Theory. They were all getting millions too. But he didn't care about anyone else. Fans on Reddit, however, find that some people are seriously overreacting, reminding them that The Big Bang Theory was just a job, and the jobs inevitably end. One added, he's an actor, and it was a job that has now ended. People need to learn to move on and not expect uh, actors to place the same significance on a role as the audience does. I wouldn't go back to any of my former jobs either. That's a very good point. Like I think there was maybe one job that I would do again, only if I had different bosses. And the job itself was fine. It was the people I worked under that sucked. um, and both of these stories that I've talked about thus far are both on comicbook.com if you want to look for the articles and read the entire thing yourself, because there's a lot here. I'm not reading all of that. So let's go ahead and take a peek at the Feedly list and see what else is in here. Hold on. Let's do this. Move that over here. And while I'm looking, so you guys don't see what I'm looking at, and I can imagine maybe one or two people going, "Why didn't you pick that story? That looked interesting." It's like I didn't click on it because I didn't want to. uh, oh wow! All right, here's a story. I don't understand why people dislike this movie. Let's bring that back. All right, so on comicbookmovie.com, Supergirl will likely end its box office run with less than Superman's opening weekend. I don't understand why people didn't like this movie or didn't want to see this movie. I want to see it in theaters, but I've been broke for the past 3 weeks. Basically, when I got paid, I paid all my bills that I needed to pay, and then that tapped me out. And I'm probably going to have the same problem next month. So I'm going to end up renting this when it comes out on digital. I liked it. What I've seen of it, anyhow. So, uh, it says here Supergirl is set to end its fourth weekend in theaters with 1.4 million, with an M, a 62% drop from its third frame. This is an unfortunate record for a DC Comics adaptation, as Supergirl will land the lowest fourth weekend domestic haul for any DCEU or DCU movie. It actually did worse than a DCEU movie? Wow. I mean, I think it's fair to say that the reason why this movie isn't doing well is because of the social climate right now for superhero movies, and the fact that it's a female led movie, and there's a lot of things that people are picking apart because they think it doesn't belong in a superhero movie. It's like, dude, you never have read a comic book in your life if you believe that. Um, I don't know. People, uh, I like I said, the clips that I've seen looked awesome. So I'm really looking forward to being able to rent it when it's available on digital. And I really enjoyed it, what I saw. So I don't understand. I don't get it. To me, it's like it's a movie. Why do people have to associate a fictional movie with things in the real world? And I think part of it is probably because of some of the storyline kind of taps into what's going on in our world. I mean, there's a young woman, excuse me, a girl, a teenage girl who gets abducted, and Supergirl has to go and retrieve this young lady, this girl, and there's just a few things that I think that these are stories that need to be talked about. These are things that need to be talked about, and it's not a partisan thing. And that's what people are complaining about this movie. That's a woke thing. Blah 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 blah. So let's see here. Let's go over and look and see what else I can find. God, really? Come on. Thank you. Oh my God. All right. Let's see here. There's going to be a Call of Duty movie. Oh man, really? I mean, we already have movies that are very much just like Call of Duty, but the difference is, I guess, the storyline. I guess. Um, let's take a look at that story. Actually, I don't know. I like Call of Duty Black Ops. That's my favorite one. And let's see. Let's get this pulled up over here. And Call of Duty movie officially set in the Modern Warfare universe. You know, I, I never really thought about like the story mode of the games as far as like, are these all the same in the same universe or are they different? Because I know there are certain characters that are in Black Ops, and I don't know if I've ever played other versions of the game in story mode and then seen the same characters. So this is what it says here on comicbookmovie.com. Paramount and Activision Paramount and Activision's plural highly anticipated Call of Duty is now has an official setting, and it's the most fans were hoping for. The film adaptation will take place in the Modern Warfare universe, one of the video games franchise's most popular subseries. Director and co-writer Peter Berg made the announcement that at Fantastic Fest in New York City this past Saturday. As previously announced, screenwriting duties is being shared by Taylor Sheridan, the man behind Yellowstone, Landman, and Lioness, and what feels like half of modern television at this point. Uh, Berg brings plenty of relevant experience to the project as well, with the directing credits including Friday Night Lights, Battleship, Lone Survivor, and Deepwater Horizon. Um, okay, cool. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare launched back in November of 2007 and completely reshaped the franchise entity. It was the first game to ditch the World War II backdrop that had defined earlier entries in favor of modern day setting. The campaign put players in the boots of two soldiers, U.S. Marine Paul Jackson and British SIS operative John Soap McTavish. Um, each of the each of which had their own perspective on a fictional global crisis. Unfolding in 2011, on one front, Russia is thrown into a civil war as ultranationalist forces led by Imran Zakhanev fight to drag the country back into its Soviet-era glory. On the other, a separatist faction stages a coup and takes over a Middle Eastern nation. Jeez. You know what? I bet you that uh, nobody is gonna like say that this is all woke nonsense because this is all like this. These are the kinds of games that the redheads love playing. I know because the last couple times I mistakenly joined a multiplayer room with actual other people and not just playing against bots. Yeah, there was a few that sounded like they probably were sporting a red hat. Here, given the incredible success of the sub series, it's no surprise that it will serve as the primary setting of the film. However, it's still unclear Berg and Sheridan plan to adapt the Modern Warfare storyline beat for beat or simply use the setting as a jumping point for the original storyline. Activision's Rob Kostich touched on the subject back in April at CinemaCon, explaining this at the studio's approach to finally bring in the franchise to film. Quote, I told everyone we were only going to make a movie if it's right. In David Ellison's in David Ellison we found that partnership. He said, we want to make sure that the authenticity of it is captured on a human level so that it feels really real and infuse that with epic scope. The Call of Duty movie is currently set to hit theaters on June 30th, 2028, lining up with the video game franchise's 25th anniversary. Right on. Okay. I mean, I thought I saw somebody talking yesterday about possibly having other variants of the Call of Duty franchise also represented in the movie. So it'd be cool if characters from like Black Ops or any of the other versions of the game would show up. Uh, 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 uh. Okay, here we go. Here's something interesting. Maybe we'll see. Um, hold up, forgot. Really? There we go. That's why it was on that. There we go. The Harry Potter TV series has already broken streaming TV series records 6 months before it premieres. You know what? I I I am with the people that say don't watch it because we don't want to give money to a woman who's openly said that she wants to eradicate trans people. She's all for helping pay for uh, detransitioning for people and things like that. Um, yeah, she's no, she's not a good person. So I will if I end up watching anything from it, I'll probably watch clips on YouTube and or I will go to the Bay of Pirates to find it and I'll watch it there. So, but this is what the story says. The new Harry Potter series on HBO Max will arrive with its first season this December and the cinematographer had a lot to say about the series in a recent YouTube masterclass special he took part in. The series will take the entire J.K. Rowling novel series and retell the whole story in a long form television format, which means it can do a lot that the movies couldn't do because of time constraints. However, with the with what Goldman had to say about the first season, it sounds like things will be bigger than most fans might have believed. This is because he made superlative comments about the series' overall budget. According to, quote, a masterclass with the Harry Potter cinematographer, end quote, on YouTube, Adriano Goldman, director of photography for HBO Max's Harry Potter series, said the series has the largest production budget ever allocated for a streaming series. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of special effects, whether it be digital or practical. I hope they did a lot of practical. Adriano Goldman, director of the blah blah. Hogwarts is expected to appear at the end of episode 1. They're still tweaking the colors, and the first episode isn't finished yet. In the Muggle world, colors are bluer and show more. Uh, okay. The Harry Potter streaming series looks to make several changes. The idea that Harry Potter on HBO Max is a bigger production budget than any other streaming series seems outlandish. When looking at the production budgets of shows like Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, and series from high profile franchises like Star Wars, the MCU, and DC, the fact that Harry Potter is beating out all of those shows means this has to be a huge success. With the controversy surrounding the Potter franchise stemming from Rowling's past and continuing statements, dude. She hasn't recanted anything. She hasn't said, "Oh, you took it out of context." No, now she doubled down. So I'm like I said, if I end up watching it, I'm gonna either see clips of it on YouTube or I'm gonna find a bootleg somewhere and I'll watch it that way because I'm not giving her any of my money. I'm not gonna. No, it's not gonna happen. Mm. The biggest hope for the new HBO Max series is that Harry Potter can bring things that the movies eliminated, but that remain favorites for fans of the book series, whether that is more from Neville Longbottom, going more into depth into the past with Snape and Potter's parents, or delving into the plight of the house elves. There's a lot of room to really add depth to the series, making it an even better experience than the movies. That said, were statements from Goldman about the first season. First, he said that Hogwarts won't even appear until the end of the first episode, which means either an entire hour of Harry Potter's life in the real world will click off the show, or there could be a chance to show some things that from the Wizarding world to hint at the return of Voldemort down the line. Could also be interesting to see if the movie's original opening will be expanded with the death of Harry's parents. Yeah, I mean, it could be interesting for sure. All right, well, let's see what else we got here. Let me switch back over to that screen. I really, really wish my computer would stop doing that. I'm clicking on the window I want, and then it switches back to the previous window. Just, no, don't do that. Stop it. Let's see. Let's see. What else do we have here? While I'm looking here, I'm gonna say I went and rewatched some of the more recent X-Men movies and the most recent of the Spider-Man movies in anticipation for the next Spider-Man movie, because I know we're gonna probably see at least a couple of the X-Men. So I really got that stuff in my mind. I'm hoping that's what ends up being the case. I hope that um, I'm hoping that we're gonna see the X-Men. I really, 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 really want to see the X-Men. Let's see here. Da, da, da. Here we go. I think this will probably be the last story. Because how long? Oh, maybe a little longer. This might be the last story. 4 perfect movies from 1987 that every 80s genre fan still rewatches today. There we go. There we go. Number 4 on the list, Predator. The original Predator movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jesse Ventura, and everybody else in that movie. Those are the 2 actors that stand out in my mind. I met Jesse Ventura a couple years back when I went to SummerCon. I think it's 2 years ago now, and he was a cool guy to talk to for sure. And if you ever want him to just sit there and talk to you for a good amount of time, ask him about his TV show Conspiracy Theory, and he will go on and on and on. It was great. I actually really liked that show too, by the way. Um, let's see here. Number 3 on the list is Near Dark. I don't know if I've ever heard of this movie. This is what it says here. Near Dark is a B movie, but it's incredible. It's an incredible one. And anyone who is truly into the vampire genre has probably already seen it and recommended it to someone else instead of following the classic image of elegant, mysterious vampires. The film introduces us to a group of violent outsiders who travel through small towns, leaving a trail of bodies behind them. The story specifically follows Caleb, played by Adrian Pazdar. I think I probably mispronounced it. I apologize. A young man whose life is completely changed after he gets involved with a girl who belongs to this group. It's a horror western and a road movie all at once, and it manages to do so in a way that still feels different from most anything else made within the genre. Maybe because it stayed so far from the conventional vampire formula. Near Dark was totally unnoticed when it was released in 1987, but luckily, time has been kind to it today for anyone looking for an underrated classic, especially one with a darker edge that can genuinely surprise them. 80s fans often often bring this one up, and the best part isn't even the story itself, but the atmosphere. There's just nothing else quite like what this movie creates. I'm gonna have to see if I can find this movie now because I don't. I was a teenager in '87, and I probably would have liked to have seen this. see. Where is it located? Is it anywhere they can watch? Doesn't appear to be anywhere you can watch. Bill Paxton's in it. Lance Henderson. Uh, oh, that guy. This is a guy from Heroes. All right. It's probably available on YouTube. Most movies that are like not available anywhere else, somebody has uploaded it. Let's go ahead and close that out. Go to the next one on the list. Number 2 on the list is the original RoboCop. I remember seeing this movie in theaters. I really liked this movie. It was a lot of fun. A lot of cool explosions and car chases and fights. The opening where the Ed 209 says, "You have 10 seconds to comply." He's like, "Nah, I put it down. I put it down. What are you doing?" Yeah, great movie. Um, let's see here. Bring that back up on screen. So many smart ideas packed into one movie filled with action and violence. That's the strategy behind RoboCop, which follows the police officer Alex Murphy, played by Peter Weller, after he is killed in the line of duty and brought back to life as a cyborg created by a big corporation to fight crime. What you don't know, actually, I shouldn't tell you if you have never seen the movie, but it's been 30 plus years at this point. Um, he was killed. There was they killed him on purpose so they could do that to him. Yeah. And number 1 on the list, and this is a movie everyone who likes the action adventure comedy type genre will love this movie, The Princess Bride. I actually my one of my roommates has never seen it and refuses to watch it because he's like uh the clips he's seen, I guess he's like, nah, I don't want to watch that. And it's such a great movie. It is very quotable, and I think the very reason why he doesn't want to watch it is the same reason why the kid at the beginning of the movie doesn't want to hear his grandpa read the book. It's a love story, isn't it? I mean, yes, but it's also action, it's adventure, it's science fiction a little bit, and fantasy. Mm, yeah, there's a little bit of science fiction in there, but I guess that could be really more of a fantasy thing than anything else. But yeah, these are all only one of these movies that have I not ever heard of. The other ones I have and I've seen multiple times. So so check out Predator, the original from, and then we got. I mean, these all came out in '87. Okay, yeah, this is why I remember the other three. I don't know why I never saw Near Dark. I have to find it now. So let's go back over here. Let's find another story to talk about. Because we're almost at an hour. I got another 15 or so minutes. Mm, come on. Let's see. Uh, okay. Oh, that's what it's talking about. Okay, let me get this pulled up over here. This is a movie that I've never seen and don't ever plan on seeing. But in theaters 36 years ago, Disney's last real horror movie, premiered and made every 90s kid afraid of spiders. It wasn't just 90s kids. Although I was afraid of spiders before this movie came out. Petrified of spiders. Although Disney is hardly closely associated with the world of horror in 2026, the entertainment giant's last real hit in the genre arrived 36 years ago today and left an entire generation with a crippling fear of spiders. While Disney's underrated dark fantasy, The Black Cauldron, may have terrified a generation of viewers who shouldn't have been watching it. Should have been watching the Care Bears rather. Um, it is fair to say that the studio isn't well known for its contributions to the horror genre. They've done a number of horror films. The Black Hole was like their first attempt at like doing a Star Wars style movie, but it was also kind of a horror film because there was some weird shit happening in that movie. Watcher in the Woods absolutely terrified me, but I loved it as a kid, and that was a Disney film. Um, and then what else? There was another one. Something Wicked This Way Comes was also a Disney movie, but it was like a Ray Bradbury story. So, Arachnophobia. Let's see. Was released in 1990. Okay. And I thought it was like late 80s, but I guess it was 1990. It also says here from 2023's expensive misfire, The Haunted Mansion, to 1993's Hocus Pocus, Disney has typically undercut their horror movies with family-friendly comedy that align closer to the studio's image. I mean, in the 90s, I think is when they stopped really making horror films. Clearly. Because I remember those other movies I mentioned, those were in like the 70s and 80s. Um, those were terrifying. Those movies were all scary as shit. But I remember seeing the trailer for Arachnophobia, and that's when I learned the word for being scared of spiders is arachnophobia. So I had no desire to watch this movie. I've seen clips, and that was enough. Uh, Says you're starring a stacked ensemble cast, including Jeff Daniels, John Goodman, the late great Julian Sands, and Harley Jane Kozak. Arachnophobia sees recently discovered spider species invade a small American town after hitching a ride to the remote burg inside the body of one of their victims, a local nature photographer. Since Daniel's long suffered transplant since Daniel's long-suffering transplant has recently become the town's lone new physician, he soon gets the blame for the ensuing pile of mysterious deaths. Despite superb deadpan comedic relief from John Goodman, as the overall enthusiastic exterminator, Arachnophobia is a genuinely creepy horror director Frank Marshall, a frequent Spielberg collaborator, brings the same intensity that he later utilized in the gripping true survival story Alive to this unsettling small town monster movie. In the process, the director turned Arachnophobia into both an enduringly acclaimed creator feature and a box office hit that earned $50 million. Yeah. Um, Now, if I'm gonna watch a spider movie, it's gonna be Eight-Legged Freaks because that at least has some comedic timing to it. Um, yeah, no, I absolutely refuse to see that movie. because I don't need to see a movie about a thing that I have. You know what I mean? Know what I'm saying? um, yeah. So I think that is going to be it for today. Thanks for tuning in or watching this podcast. If you're listening on the normal means of listening to podcasts in your favorite podcasting app, be sure if you want to see what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a thing on screen, check out the Substack or the YouTube channel for the podcast, which you can find at tismface.rest, which takes you to my link tree for the podcast, or you can follow any of the social media accounts that are associated. At Resting Tismface is the username. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. I will talk to you guys later.